I'm Yotin, and
I'm
there's
Isidoro.
Isidora.
Hi.
So we are going to talk about the origin of life. All right. So here are some early ideas. So one of the origins ideas of the origin of life is spontaneous generation that it was like pop out out of nowhere. For example, one time, people thought that mice could be created by placing damp hay and corn from a dark corner, or that mud could give rise to worms instead of some fish, or like for example, the Mayas in Delaware, they thought that human beings were came up from mice. That's an example. So here's a person that helped with a contribution of this theory about the origin of life, and it was Francesco Redi, and he was an Italian scientist who tested the idea that flies arose spontaneously from running meat in the 1668. And he hypnotized that flies produces other flies, but not with meat. And he started to observe maggots and that are the fly larvae. And it appeared that only in flasks that were open to flies. Closed flasks had neither of them, and the results failed to convince everyone. So, yeah, they don't creatures don't appear out of nowhere. And so here's an example of his experiment that he were the maggots, the open container, the formation of maggots in the meat. And he the one sealed the container and not they didn't form. And here they're well the heart of it, like the thingy, I don't know what's it called, but covered the flask instead of being sealed, and they still didn't form maggots. So here's another. Okay, all right. So here's that theory of biogenesis, and it was developed in 1859 by this German physician, and it was called Rudolf Virchow. And this theory talk about the counter hypothesis to spontaneous generation, and another phrase that organisms only living organisms can produce other living organisms. So here's his experiment, and he designed this experiment to show that biogenesis was true even before organisms. In was flask, only air was allowed to conduct sterile nutrients, and the nutrient broth. Well, it was called sterile nutrient broth. The nutrient broth support the growth microorganisms, and in the other flasks, both air and microorganisms were allowed to conduct the broth. No microorganisms grew in the first container, but however, raw in a separate container, and here it is. And it started to boil, and when the third wait, it was no growth. And the second one, it boiled, the neck break, they wait, and it was a microbial growth. So here are some other ideas. So nowadays, most biologists agree that life originated through a series of chemical events early in Earth's history. And these complex organism molecules were generated from simpler ones, for example, bacteria, and all those that, like all living beings, started. We all have one ancestor in common. Like the planet started with like being like nothing, not habitable, and then it started to develop in a better way. So that way life was sustainable, and it's obvious that something happened there that life started to grow it. So we all share one common ancestor, even though we have like very different. So, well, coming back to the team. So eventually, these simple metabolic pathways develop, and these pathways allow molecules to be synthesized or broken down more efficiently, which meant that life started to emerge as we know it to different species, and well, it started to difference, I don't know, a dog from a horse. I thought to.
Now, let's talk about the cellular evolution. Now, as of right now, scientists do not know the earliest cells because the only time or time period that was, according to the fossil records, was about 3.5 billion years. But chemical markings in rocks as 3.8 billion years suggest that life was present at the time, even though no fossils remain. So, even though it's basically speculative, but still unsure. Now, so scientists recently announced that the discovery of what happened to the fossilized microbes in the rock that was 3.5 billion years old could probably suggest that cellular activity had become more established very early in Earth's history. So again, unsure, but hopefully we are right about this. Now, another theory we're going to talk about is the endosymbiont theory. To begin with, the eukaryotic cells appeared as the fossil record about 1.8 billion years ago, around 2 billion years after life first formed. Now, these type of cells have complex internal membranes, which enclose various organelles, including mitochondria and plant cells, chloroplasts. Now, the biologist that came up with this idea was Lynn Margulis. She was the one that proposed it, indicating that the ancestors of eukaryotic cells live in association with prokaryotic cells. In some cases, prokaryotic cells even might have lived inside eukaryotics, and that is why it's called, what was it called again? The endosymbionts, because like symbiotes, they're basically connected with another organism. They could have entered a whole cell as undigested prey, or could have been internal parasites. So again, they're connecting each other from another organism. Now let's talk about the evidence. Again, we're still not sure if this is all true, because when Margulis proposed the theory, many scientists were hesitant to accept it. Basically, doubts. Most of them didn't believe it. However, with the evidence, at least mitochondria and chloroplasts contain their own DNA, which, as you can see, the only evidence in this picture: the growth, fission, and segregation, which is also arranged in a circular pattern, just as it is a prokaryotic cell. So, in conclusion, while we are still trying to speculate what was the actual origin of life or evolution of life on Earth, it's better understood on how first life appeared. Evidence from the fossil record, the geologic time scale, and biochemical evidence such as DNA, RNA, and proteins, which all supports the proposed steps in life's substantive evolution. However, that all depends because as of now, again, this is all we know, because in the distant future, discoveries might alter the scientific community's understanding of all these steps. Scientists will so far continue to evaluate new evidence and test new hypotheses in years to come. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, that's all, and that's well, the information we try to put in. Yeah, teacher. So, okay, guys.
Bye.
So, tell me, Isidro, do you like our what? Our team? Our what? Our how's it says? Our type of job. How's it called? Well, the work we need to do. You like to talk about this?
Ah, yes.
Well, I literally have a book that talks about all this.
It's a good thing you know right now. But anyway,
But it doesn't talk like the bacteria and all that. It's more talks like about how Earth started to develop and how it started. And funny thing, it's all start at the bottom of the sea with this huge towers that had this bacteria. No, not bacteria. Like this microcellular thing that lived in the pores of those rocks and start to generate lots of oxygen. And there was one time that there was a lot of oxygen, a lot of other things start to dying about that oxygen.
yeah, the thing is,
What's it
Yotzi,
said?
Yotzi, because
What?
since the first life forms were from the water, back then in the outside of the water, like inland, there was no oxygen. Let alone the fact that time was actually shorter than 2 days.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I know. I guess that's what because we were more close to the sun. Because each year that all Earth and all the planets gets away from the sun and all that. So like it's then for example the moon. The moon is way far away that it was from I don't know before. Like the moon gets away from Earth 4 centimeters each year. So you imagine how it was like I don't know 60,000 years ago. It was like probably like you saw a very huge ball, white ball in the sky. Yeah.
the more you know.
Okay, no. Well, I'm going to end it here.
Well, goodbye.
That